The sterling silver wire twisted smoothly under my pliers, forming the delicate spiral that would become the centerpiece of a custom necklace. Late afternoon sunlight streamed through my studio windows, glinting off the gemstones scattered across my workbench. This piece was for a bride who wanted something unique for her wedding day, an honor I never took lightly. My phone buzzed, interrupting my focus. It was Mom, reminding me about the family barbecue this weekend. Don't forget the potato salad. Her text read, and Rachel and Lisa are excited to tell everyone about their new business venture. I sighed, setting down my tools. Rachel and Lisa, my cousins from my mother's side, had recently been posting cryptically enthusiastic messages on social media about becoming their own bosses and joining an amazing opportunity. Having been in business for myself for the past 5 years, I recognized the telltale signs of someone newly recruited into an NLM scheme. The irony wasn't lost on me. For years, they dismissed my handmade jewelry business as just a hobby and not a real job. Now they were apparently entrepreneurs themselves, though I doubted they'd actually be creating anything except recruitment PowerPoint presentations. Saturday arrived with perfect late spring weather for a backyard gathering. I arrived at my parents' house balancing the requested potato salad and a small display of my latest pieces. Mom always liked to show off my work to the extended family, even if some of them didn't quite understand it. "Julia," Rachel squealed when she saw me, rushing over with an enthusiasm that immediately put me on guard. She was wearing an expensive-looking blazer despite the casual setting, a large designer bag slung over her shoulder. "We've been hoping to talk to you." Lisa materialized beside her, equally overdressed. "Your timing is perfect. We have an amazing opportunity to share." Before I could respond, my mother called everyone to the food table. I gratefully escaped to help her set up. But I could feel my cousin's eyes following me, like predators waiting for the right moment to pounce. That moment came as people were settling into lawn chairs with their plates. Rachel clanked her glass with a knife, drawing everyone's attention. "Lisa and I have an exciting announcement," she declared. "We've recently partnered with Luminous Life, a revolutionary wellness and lifestyle company that's changing the way people think about success and financial freedom." I took a long sip of my lemonade, watching as they launched into what was clearly a rehearsed presentation. The company sold everything from supplements to skincare to scented candles, they explained, but the real opportunity was in building your own team and leveraging your network for unlimited earning potential. "Julia," Lisa suddenly called out, making me choke on my drink, "you should totally join our team. You already have experience selling online with your little craft business." "It's not a craft business," I corrected automatically. "I design and create custom fine jewelry. Each piece is." "But imagine scaling that up," Rachel interrupted. "Instead of being limited by how much you can make yourself, you could have a whole team under you. That's the beauty of our business model." "Ewing a pyramid scheme," my younger brother Max muttered from beside me, just loud enough for nearby relatives to hear. Rachel's professional smile tightened. "Actually, pyramid schemes are illegal. This is network marketing, a completely legitimate business model used by many major companies." Speaking of legitimate businesses, Lisa added with Fox concern, "Aren't you worried about the sustainability of making jewelry by hand? It seems like a pyramid scheme of time. You can only make so much, and when you stop working, the money stops too." The conversation around us had gone quiet, other relatives watching the exchange with varying degrees of discomfort and interest. "That's not how my business works," I said calmly, years of craft fair experience helping me maintain my composure. "I create unique pieces that hold their value, build relationships with clients who return for multiple purchases, and—" "But you're still trading time for money," Rachel insisted. "With Luminous Life, you build residual income. The more people you bring in, the more you earn from their sales and their recruits' sales. It's exponential growth." "That's literally the definition of a pyramid scheme," Max muttered again. Before the situation could escalate further, Dad announced it was time for the traditional family softball game. The tension dissipated as people divided into teams, though Rachel and Lisa spent the entire game working their phones and making not-so-subtle comments about taking control of their financial destiny. Later that evening, as I was helping Mom clean up, she handed me an elegant invitation. "Rachel and Lisa wanted me to give you this," she said. "They're having some kind of business launch party next weekend." I examined the card, printed on expensive paper with gold foil accents. Luminous Life Leadership Launch, it proclaimed, promising an evening of networking, opportunity, and empowerment at an upscale hotel downtown. You don't have to go, Mom said quietly, reading my expression. I know they were difficult today. I was about to decline when something caught my eye on the invitation. Special guest speaker, Cameron Brooks, Regional Director of Development. Cameron Brooks. The name triggered a memory from my early days of researching small business practices. He'd been involved in several controversial NLM companies that had eventually been shut down by regulators for fraudulent practices. Actually, I said slowly, I think I will attend. The week before the launch party, I did my homework. Hours of research confirmed my suspicions about Cameron Brooks and revealed disturbing patterns in Luminous Life's business practices. Their products were drastically overpriced and made with cheap ingredients despite luxury branding. Their income disclosure statements, buried deep in legal documents, showed that over 97% of independent consultants lost money. Most importantly, I found documentation of pending lawsuits and regulatory investigations into their deceptive recruitment practices. The night of the party, I arrived at the hotel wearing my most professional outfit, a leather portfolio tucked under my arm. The ballroom had been decorated like a motivational seminar, with dramatic lighting and banners proclaiming your dreams are within reach, and be your own boss. Rachel and Lisa worked the room in matching blazers, both practically vibrating with rehearsed enthusiasm as they introduced potential recruits to other successful leaders in the company. I recognized several faces from local business networking events I'd attended, people who moved from one NM to another, always chasing the next big opportunity. Julia. Rachel spotted me and rushed over. We knew you'd see the potential once you had time to think about it. Are you ready to join our team? I have some questions first, I said pleasantly. Is Cameron Brooks here yet? Yes, he's amazing. He's meeting with VIP investors in the side room before his presentation. But don't worry, once you sign up as a consultant, you'll have access to all his training materials. Actually, I smiled. I think he'll want to talk to me now. I moved purposefully toward the side room, Rachel trailing behind, making increasingly anxious attempts to direct me toward the registration table instead. When I pushed open the door, Cameron Brooks was holding court with a small group of well-dressed investors, mid-pitch about expansion opportunities. I'm so sorry, Rachel stammered. She's not supposed to be in here. Mr. Brooks, I said clearly, making him turn toward me. I'm Julia Chen. I own Starlight Custom Jewelry and have some questions about Luminous Life's business model. His practiced smile never wavered. Always happy to talk business with a fellow entrepreneur, perhaps after the main presentation. Specifically, I continued, opening my portfolio. I'd like to discuss the pending investigations by the FTC into your recruitment practices and a class action lawsuit in California regarding misrepresented income potential. The room went very quiet. The investors stopped their conversation, turning to listen. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Cameron said smoothly, but I saw the flash of recognition in his eyes. I withdrew a stack of documents from my portfolio. These are public records of the regulatory actions against your previous companies. Alight Wellness, Prosperity Partners, and Global Vision Ventures. All shut down for operating as pyramid schemes between 2015 and 2020. One of the investors reached for the documents. Cameron took a step forward as if to intervene, but I was already handing copies to everyone in the room. I also have Luminous Life's actual income disclosure statements, not the selective statistics shown in your recruitment materials, but the full legal filings showing that less than 1% of consultants make a profit after expenses. This is ridiculous, Rachel protested, but her voice shook slightly. We have hundreds of successful consultants. You have hundreds of people buying expensive starter kits and recruiting others to do the same, I corrected. That's not a sustainable business model. It's a pyramid scheme with products as a thin disguise. I turned to address the increasingly concerned-looking investors directly. Would you like to see what a legitimate small business looks like? Without waiting for an answer, I pulled up my company's financials on my tablet. This is my jewelry business that Rachel and Lisa mocked as a pyramid scheme of time last week. 5 years of steady growth, positive cash flow, and actual product sales to real customers, not just consultants buying inventory they can't sell. The investors were examining my documents with growing alarm. One woman was already on her phone, presumably fact-checking my claims about the regulatory investigations. "Here's the difference between a real business and a scam," I said, my voice carrying clearly in the stunned silence. "I create actual value. I make products people want to buy because of their quality, not because they're pressured by friends and family. My customers don't have to recruit others to make money. They don't go into debt buying inventory they can't sell." "Julia," Lisa pleaded, "you don't understand how this works." "I understand perfectly," I cut her off. "I've spent years building a legitimate business while watching people like Mr. Brooks move from one pyramid scheme to another, leaving financial devastation in their wake. And now you're trying to recruit our entire family into the same trap." One of the investors stood up, gathering his papers. "I think we've heard enough. Mr. Brooks, expect to hear from our attorneys about the misrepresentations in your investment proposal." Others followed suit, making hurried exits despite Cameron's increasingly desperate attempts to salvage the situation. Within minutes, the room had emptied except for me, my cousins, and a very angry-looking Cameron Brooks. "You've just made a serious mistake," he said, his cultivated charm evaporating. "No," I replied calmly, "I've just prevented others from making a serious mistake. And I've documented everything, including this conversation, in case you're considering any kind of retaliation." I turned to my cousins, who looked shell-shocked. "Rachel, Lisa, I know you thought you were pursuing a legitimate opportunity, but you're being scammed. The only people who make money in these schemes are the ones at the very top. People like Mr. Brooks who move on to the next scam when this one collapses." "We've already invested so much," Lisa whispered, tears forming in her eyes. "The starter kits, the training materials, the marketing packages. Step 1 is stopping the bleeding," I said more gently. "Step 2 is reporting everything to the relevant authorities. I can help you with both." In the aftermath of that evening, Luminous Life's expansion plans in our city collapsed. The investors I'd warned spread the word through their networks, and Cameron Brooks disappeared to presumably start another scheme somewhere else. Rachel and Lisa initially refused to speak to me, embarrassed and angry about the public exposure. But 3 months later, Rachel called. "I need your help," she said hesitantly. "I want to start a real business. Not a scheme, not a recruitment thing. Something that actually helps people." "What did you have in mind?" I asked. "I've been taking ceramics classes," she admitted. "I really enjoy making things with my hands. I thought maybe you could show me how to start small. Build something legitimate." 6 months later, Rachel's pottery studio opened next door to my jewelry workshop. We share a small retail space, supporting each other's creative ventures and genuine entrepreneurship. Lisa eventually joined too, discovering a talent for business operations that makes both our companies run more smoothly. Sometimes at family gatherings, relatives still bring up the infamous launch party confrontation, usually with a mixture of admiration and lingering embarrassment. But more often, they ask about our latest designs, our upcoming collections, our actual successes built on creativity and hard work rather than pyramid-shaped promises. "You know what the funny thing is?" Rachel said recently as we were setting up a joint display for a local artisan fair. "We used to think you were limiting yourself by making everything by hand. But you were building something real all along." I picked up one of her intricately glazed vases, admiring how it caught the light. "That's the thing about real businesses," I replied. "They're built on creating actual value, not just recruiting others to buy into a dream." Speaking of value, Lisa called from behind the counter where she was updating our inventory system. "We just got another 5-star review for that custom wedding set you made last month." I smiled, thinking of that afternoon years ago when my cousins had interrupted my work on another bride's necklace. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about proving others wrong. It's about being so right that they eventually come around to seeing it themselves. The next time someone at a family gathering announced they had an amazing business opportunity to share, Rachel and Lisa were the first to ask the hard questions about product value, sustainable revenue models, and actual customer sales. They'd learned the hard way that true success isn't built on recruiting others into a scheme. It's built on creating something genuine, something valuable, something real. And that's a business model worth defending.